7, but Kathy is home with a cold. Her and Amy, we're gonna try and meet together, but they're being separate because Kathy isn't feeling good. So Kathy is gonna give the new information to Amy.
And your microphone is muted, it says here. There we go.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So, Kathy and Amy were gonna meet together, but Kathy's got a cold, so they're gonna meet separately, but Kathy was gonna give her the information about the new invite.
Did they get the new ID?
Do you want to start with this pledge and stuff until they come on?
Okay. Okay, call the Village of Victor Board of Trustees meeting for September 21st, 2020 to order, and we'll start with the salute to the flag. Mike, please lead us through that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so before we get going with the agenda here, if anybody from the public is watching tonight on YouTube, remember that you can text in comments. And we are more than willing to accept your comments. So we're still waiting for Amy
And Kathy?
and Kathy. Should we go ahead with the clerk's report?
Sure.
So did they get the new email? Because I don't see their names listed on the email that we got.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'll forward it.
I wondered.
that's all, Kathy?
Well, I'll just forward it to him right now.
Maybe we should text them and let them know.
Yeah, because I think when
Yeah.
Pam sent it, it just went to us. It doesn't have
Yeah.
Amy or,
I got
Kathy.
it on the phone, I said it to you guys, never sent it to her. Mike just sent it to her though. She's probably sitting there waiting for it.
Kathy just texted me. She said she didn't get it.
Yeah.
She's gonna get Mike sending it to her.
I just sent it.
So we might as well do the next two things, I guess, until, well, she's poor thing sitting there waiting.
Should we let JT go first because you might be needed? Pam,
JT might be needed or me?
you might be needed by them to get them hooked up.
No, because once Mike sends it, they'll get right on it.
All right. So we can go ahead with the clerk's report.
Sure. I have a resolution for acceptance of the meeting minutes from September 8th.
I'll make the
Is there-
motion to accept.
Motion by Carol. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Michelle. Any questions or concerns about the minutes from September 8th? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None, motion carries.
And then we'll do this quick. Amy's already on, so I will have a resolution to accept the payment of bills, abstract number 18.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mike, second by Bob. Is it 18, Pam, the abstract number, or 8?
Sorry, 8.
Okay. Any discussion on the bills? I did have a couple of quick questions. Pam, on our invoice for E-code, the annual maintenance for E-code, does that include, you've probably told me this before, but does that include the hard copies?
No, that is something separate from any updates. We've paid that every year since I've been here. That's a separate line on the budget.
Okay,
I'm here.
Sorry, Kathy and Amy, I apologize.
Hi,
Welcome.
everybody.
welcome.
Hi, Kathy.
You know, it's not that we don't care, but we went on without you.
I'm glad.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, guys. I didn't want to interrupt like Kathy did.
She's not
We're
shy.
we're used to her.
So we're at the moment talking about our abstract. The other quick question I had, JT, I noticed an invoice for the striping of Rawson Road.
Yeah,
Is that a company we use all the time for striping?
yeah, they're on the Ontario County bid.
Gotcha. I just didn't know if there were other companies available, if we ever like price shopped for that stuff, but if they're on the Ontario County bid, that's why we use them, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's all I had for questions on the bills. Anybody else have any questions or concerns about the abstract? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, so the motion carries. That it for you, Pam?
Yes, it is.
Boy, that was short and sweet.
In more ways than one.
Okay, can we back up to Kathy and Amy? Welcome, you guys.
Hey,
Thank
have-
you.
You have the privilege of the floor, and you're going to talk to us about probably maybe an event coming up and some partnership between the economic development and the chamber.
that's correct.
Yes, it is.
We're
Yeah.
eager to hear.
Okay, so, Amy, you jump in whenever.
All right.
You fill the gaps. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, I think Pam shared the flyer on the Victor Mobile Merchant Market. So that idea came out of a Zoom meeting that we had with quite a few businesses. I think there was like 15 to 18 businesses trying to come up with ways to get foot traffic back in their stores. All the businesses are experiencing customers that are still weary to come in the stores. They're just not shopping or visiting. So we started brainstorming ideas, and we decided to do like sidewalk style events, move them around to different locations. So we're incorporating places in the town and the village. Any Victor business can participate at no charge. We're just trying to, generate some foot traffic. So we're doing them 5 Saturdays, utilizing all 5 Saturdays in October. The first one is going to be October 3rd in the village.
So this idea came about basically after we had the conversation with Hang Around Victor Day not happening. So I went to Kathy, and Kathy and I went to a group that we were discussing, and this just kind of came into flourishing of, not just having it as large as Hang Around Victor Day, but having it, like Kathy said, more of a sidewalk sale. And let's move it so it's not as large in one location so that we can bring other businesses to different areas.
So
Go ahead.
to date, we've got 21 vendors. And those are, Victor businesses. We've got 2 or 3 home-based businesses, but the rest are all businesses that you would recognize. And then, Amy, do you want to tell them about the giving bus that we're going to have there?
Sure. So basically what's kind of happened with everything with Toys for Tots and some of the giving and the charities that have happened going forward for the holidays, you can't accept toys in certain businesses because of the COVID and because of the touching of the cardboard and everything else. So I came up with the idea of having a giving bus. And I've talked with the school about this, and they're going to lend us a bus for various dates. We're going to start out with every Saturday in October at each one of the mobile merchant markets. And we're asking for donations this way so that we can help the food pantry. They're going to be there. We're going to ask for toys that are, packaged toys like we would normally do for Toys for Tots. And then we're also including Pluta this year for, like they do a bit of, when someone has cancer, they have like a snuggle bag to kind of help them get through their treatment. So we're asking for donations for each one of these kind of groups. And we're having it on this bus so that it's not going to be touched by many people. And we're trying to get it touched just by the least amount of people, put it where it needs to belong, and then take them to the various locations for the donations that need to go. We're also looking to do something in November and December for a collection as well with the giving bus. And Kathy and I are going to be working on the details soon for those. But first, we're just going to try this merchant mobile market in the various locations and see how that goes to start off with. So that's kind of what that's going to be. But we're just looking how we can help the community in any way we can with donations for food pantry and the giving bus, and just going forward.
And I will tell you that we're gonna, everybody, any vendor's gonna have a mask on. We're going to, really monitor the 6 feet apart and, as far as spacing out the tents. Just really trying to be conscious of the, requirements. I really think that, I know there won't be any issues with business owners, and I really think the people from the community want to support the businesses. So I don't anticipate any issues with that. We're not marketing this outside of Victor. We're just doing like our next door app, local Facebook posts. We're not doing a huge marketing campaign, so it'll be very centralized, local.
Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
So it's actually, you were mentioning the giving bus. It's for
Yes.
Toys for Tots, right?
Correct.
Just specifically for that organization and the Victor Farmington Food Cupboard.
Yes.
And then what was the third one?
The Pluta Cancer Center. It's out of, there's different centers in the area, and we have, their information is on the flyer. And Pluta Cancer, this one is located in Henrietta, correct, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What else? What I want to ask you guys is when you, like October 3rd, your first one, are you opening it up to businesses anywhere in Victor to come on that day in that location? It's not just for the businesses in that location.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. We're asking for any of the locations. We're trying to get them to sign up ahead of time, Gary, just so we can figure out where to put them and how many people, vendors we have.
Right.
So I've
We didn't
been
want to ask
generating
for,
a list.
yeah. And we didn't want to have too many vendors at once. We were trying to cap it at like 20, just so that the number stays down. We're not looking for a gigantic crowd. We're trying to get people into their businesses, into the other areas, and just, have it like just word of mouth and slowly have it so that everyone can realize that there's certain businesses even downtown now.
Right. And like for the October 3rd one, Giovanni's Lunch Cart, they'll be open and, serving TK's. It's actually their 1-year anniversary is right around the same time. So they're going to do pizza and stuff outside.
Pontillo's is going to
yeah.
have a menu out there. He's got coupons. He's very excited about it to hand out things. And if there is a
good.
business that isn't available at the chamber, Kathy and I table, we're going to be handing out flyers of other businesses around so people know what's happening. So if they're not able to make this date, we're basically going to be handing out different information for them.
Very good.
Just so that we can support everyone, that can and can't make it.
Yeah, I know you got probably quite a bit more to tell us about. I don't want to take up too much time, but I happen to have been in the Village Inn on Friday evening, and it's my understanding they want to have a band play. Have they
Yeah.
approached
Yeah.
you on this?
Yes,
Yes, the band, they're having it on the roof, correct, Kathy? So that it isn't a gathering in front. So they're doing something on the rooftop so that people aren't gathering like in front of everything and, so everyone's spread out.
Right. Just was wondering what the details are on that. I'm not,
Yes.
I'll let the rest of the board speak. I'm not opposed to it. They've been doing it in Fairport. But obviously in the way you're talking about it, seems like it'll be okay. They're keeping the band or the music on the property of, the restaurant.
Correct.
Not out on the street or in the parking lot or whatever. So sounds like
Correct.
that's the same plan here. And there's not been like a bunch of people, like when I was in Fairport, not a bunch of people standing around listening to the music. They're just, going about their business, walking around, frequenting the businesses or doing whatever they're going to do. So that sounds okay to me. I'll let the rest of the board chime in if anybody wants to speak about it.
Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, it sounds great to me. This is the only one in the village, and then you're going to do 3 or 4 others in different parts of the town.
Yes.
There's actually one at Twin Elder, which is in the village, and then there will be another one at the end. We end at the library parking lot on October 31st.
And that one, we're going to ask if anyone wants to hand out candy for trick or treaters, or something like that, but again, everyone has to come masked. But instead of having a big spooktacular event like we typically do, we're trying to do a very small version of this. So if there's anyone coming shopping or doing anything, there's just going to be little candies and stuff for everyone. So we're still working the details out for the very last one.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, and we don't really need that much from you. I'm only going to ask JT for some cones.
Cones, and if we can, yes, cones, and then if we can get the spooktacular signs up just to kind of bring a little decoration to the village.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, JT, about the banners, but I'll call you tomorrow.
Oh, lucky you.
Okay.
Okay, so part 2, I gave you, or I sent Pam this lovely diagram that I did. I think you guys got this. So Amy and I have been talking about this for a while, going back and forth about how we can bring our agencies together and work collaboratively. COVID really solidified that even more, brought the message home to both of us, the importance of doing it, because we were both sitting at our computers in our dining rooms or whatever and sharing information to get out to businesses as quickly as we could. And, there's always been lately a lot of talk about shared services and, obviously working together for us is one way to do that. So we've been working on a concept of an umbrella agency, which would be the Victor Community Development Office. And under that umbrella would be the chamber, the LDC, economic development, and then the other bucket is this community events piece. Right now, the way we're looking at this is the entities under the umbrella will still stay intact. For example, the LDC has to stay intact the way it is as far as, the 501c4 designation and approving loans and grants. The chamber will stay intact. Eventually, I think the model will be to do more of a formal merger of the different entities, but right now it makes more sense to keep us in those buckets. But what it does is two things stand out for me. One is it's always been very, very confusing to businesses coming in to Victor when we had the LDC, the chamber, then we had the Victor Merchant Group or the Victor Business Connection. Very confusing who does what. So it brings all those services together. And it also, we become that one-stop shop is what we're aiming for, to be able to support business. And, right now more than ever, we've got to support and retain them, and we've got to start attracting new business.
And what I want to say is when I, started my business with Prima Pop, the first person I went to was Mitch and then Kathy. And Kathy gave me so much information, and I realized that a lot of people don't realize what the LDC does, that the service is even there. And just with the groups that we did start, that we did the different events and things that Kathy and I worked so closely together. And then when I became the executive director for the chamber, I was still using Kathy as such a resource. And I thought it was ridiculous that we weren't under the same umbrella and working together. We were sending a lot of the flyers and information from COVID to the same people. It was a crossover. And instead of, sending them all the same information, I think it would be, a lot better if we gave them the correct information, got it out there in a timely manner from the both of us. And, we both were able to use our resources and work smarter rather than harder.
And the other thing that slipped my mind when I was talking was the fact that, you also had 3 different agencies knocking on businesses'
Yes.
doors for money, for sponsorships. And so this way, because, we'll eliminate that. And Amy and I are working on, I didn't send it to you because it's still in such a draft format, but we're working on a format where basically everyone's going to have to pay to play. I know it's a difficult time for everybody, but this notion that they don't have to put anything into this, and that, town and village and chamber are gonna take care of everything. It just can't exist like that anymore. So we're coming up with a structure that is like a basic partner, business partnership, and then we go on from there if they want to, sponsor different events. And and I can send this to you when we get it a little bit more developed. So, they could be a premium partner at $500, and they get a basic membership plus, some other things as far as advertising, or they go up to, $1,000 and we add on from there. And the other key thing here is the dismantling of the town parks and rec department, and the fact that the event piece is pretty much non-existent right now. So we see an opportunity there for us to continue some of those events that the businesses and community looked forward to, and join forces as far as sponsorship on those. I've
Sounds
said a
like-
lot.
Sounds like quite a plan. A question that comes to mind is Victor Community Development Office. Will that be a not-for-profit organization? Will that be something under the blanket of the town or the village, or what's your vision on that?
Well, right now, it's really a placeholder, and it's that umbrella, that's what we're going to refer people to. We're going to start saying, go to the Victor Office of Community Development. We've already started talking about our websites being, we got a domain name. What was it? Victor OCD?
No, not OCD.
I think that's perfect.
No, it's Victor's, I think, COD,
Oh,
Community of Development, or Office of Development.
So we have a domain name that is that. So people will be able to go to that, and then underneath it, they'll see it broken out right now with the chamber, with the LDC, so as far as it being a 501c something, right now, I'm not seeing that. It's, you know, like maybe, I keep using the term umbrella agency. You know, Amy's been able to get us access to the chamber's attorney and the chamber's finance person to help us put this together. As far as some of the questions, you know, or like specifically the question you asked, Gary, and make sure we're doing this the right way. We've also talked to a gentleman who's done 2 of these collaborations or mergers out of Florida between a chamber and an economic development agency. So we're getting tips and advice from him as well.
Because basically the chamber still has to stay the chamber with the board. The LDC still needs to stay as the LDC with their board. But what we're going to be doing is merging the two. So some of our boards are going to cross over and we're going to collaborate and actually have a different entity for, you know, where the sponsorship money is going to go towards so that we can put the same events on and almost have, instead of having a competition of award ceremonies, we're talking in the future to have one award ceremony that everyone's going to be able to share in instead of just, you know, have it broken up and everyone giving money for different events. But this is just going to be more of a partnership and collaboration, not only just with the town and the village, but with the school as well. I've been working very closely with our new superintendent and to break that barrier down of the businesses and the school and try to work a little bit closer. And it's been fantastic so far. So I'm very excited about that. That's why with the giving bus, this is something that we're working on and that they can show that, you know, this is where their community involvement is going to be with the businesses. Same with Victor Day, same with the race is going to happen on Victor Day, you know, so we're really trying to work closer with the school and make it all make more sense.
Very good.
So I'm very excited about it. And, you know, I know with Kathy's help, the two of us just, like I said before, just working smarter, not doing the same thing over and over and chasing different money, but track it down and give a better explanation of what our services are, what the chamber does for people, how, you know, what you get for your membership fee, and that the services of the LDC are there. I know so many businesses don't even understand that there is an LDC.
Yeah.
It was new to me.
Yeah, so we're going to, you know, we're making this presentation here. Going to do a similar thing with the town, and then we're going to start rolling this out and making joint calls to businesses and explaining it. So I'm sure there's going to be 1 or 2 that might not like it, but you know, just 1 or 2.
But, you know, we've if there isn't anyone has money in this or skin in the game, they don't participate or they
Right.
just don't show up. And we really, with Kathy and I putting so much work into different events that we do, and then for someone to say, oh, I forgot about it or I didn't do it. It's a lot of work that we get done that just, you know, it's a waste of our time. So if everyone can understand what's happening, how it's going to happen, what the platform is going to be, I think there's going to be a better interest in getting a lot of these events done and communication gotten to the right people.
Sounds like quite a plan and quite a venture you're immersed in here, and I'll be very interested to see how it progresses and, you know, what the actual final product is and how it functions. I'll have more questions along the way. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Okay. Does anyone else have questions or concerns?
Nope.
Sounds good.
Amy, I just have one question. When you're doing the giving bus, and then is it just toys or you mentioned the food cupboard
Pam,
and the
Pam, excuse me, you're echoing. I don't know if it's because you and Mike are competing or.
So you were asking about the giving bus. So it's at this time for these October events, it's going to be Toys for Tots, Pluta, and Food Pantry. We're going to be doing another one in November and December, and we'll ask for what donations are going to be needed for those events. So we'll have another flyer every time we have the giving bus up. But as
Okay.
for right now, it's the October events. And we'll bring a flyer to the village and the town hall, you know, this week. and we're already putting it on Facebook, so please, you can take a look at it there or share it.
Just one question, Gary. Amy, you had mentioned the Victor Merchants group,
Correct.
but they're not on the diagram at all. Do you see a place for them within this organization and in the diagram, or are they a separate group and not included?
Actually, what we're trying to do is dissolve that group altogether. And basically, the services that Kathy and I offer are going to be under this umbrella. Because there's only maybe 2 people in that group, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, that aren't chamber members at this time.
Yeah, and it's really, if Amy and I weren't active in that group, it wouldn't exist. You know what I'm saying? And they don't come together on their own.
No.
And it's just, again, it's just another, it's redundant. And, a long time ago when the Victor Merchant Group started, it was an issue they had with the chamber. Now we've worked through that stuff, and I just see this as the opportune time to meld all of this and make it all work together. I don't see any real objection from the people who are, I wouldn't even call it that they're in the group anymore. I don't really think there's a group.
There was
Yeah.
never really a membership per se.
Right,
Because they
right.
didn't have to pay any dues. There was
No.
there were no officers or any sort of
Right.
structure like that.
Right.
Okay. No, that sounds fine to me.
Kathy, Amy, I got a couple more questions about, so it sounds like the October events are all held in the village.
No,
No.
No?
there's 2, one's up at the mall,
Okay,
and then another one is at the Breathe Plaza or the Walmart Plaza.
okay.
And
So
then 3 are in the village.
So Twin Elders and,
Yes.
and the one this Saturday and the library are the 3 held in the village during October.
Correct.
So,
I know it's strange. There's
Correct.
5 Saturdays in October this year.
yeah. So my question is, and I understand the premise and I really appreciate, that you're not trying to do a major, hang around Victor type day event, because we went through that already. And, but not knowing exactly how many people you're going to have, are we going to need the Ontario County Sheriffs in any way, do you think, for any of these events, especially the one on Main Street?
No, I don't foresee it being that large. We only have, what do we say for the first event? It's only going to be, what, 12 vendors?
We have 21 vendors.
But some are already in their shops.
Yeah, and that's including existing businesses.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
My gut instinct is no, Gary. I can't imagine it getting to a point where you need the sheriff.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure that,
Yep.
we think that through. And so these vendors that aren't in the shops will have tents on Main Street? Is that?
Correct.
Yeah, tents and tables, 10 by 10s. Yep.
And they'll be not on the sidewalk, they'll actually be down on the street?
I want them on the sidewalks just to eliminate having to deal with all the only reason I'm using cones, JT, is this one section where we're actually putting the bus. So I want, the parking spots, they're not going to be in the parking spots. They're going to be
Where-
on the sidewalk.
Where is it, on East Main?
Yeah, right. And we're concentrating on the block where TK's is and Town Hall, that one block.
Okay,
I mean, if you think they should be in the street, tell me. I just was having them put something right out in front on the sidewalk.
Well,
It's so spread out that it's not really going to be it's not going to be anything like a Victor Day. So
Yeah.
they'll
Right.
still be able to walk on the sidewalk
Yeah,
and around. Yeah.
that's what I'm
it's not
getting
gonna-
at. That's what
Yeah,
I'm getting at,
it's-
just for safety concerns, want to make sure that they don't have to go out in the street to walk unless
know.
we're gonna, create a safe spot out there for them to walk.
Right.
So just appreciate you thinking that through and so forth. And JT, whatever help we can give them, we always appreciate what you and your guys do.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's not a lot of traffic out there anyhow because of the DOT screw
Yeah,
up. So,
that's true. That's a good point.
Yep,
Hmm.
that's true.
And we won't go there right now. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Amy or Kathy? Appreciate you guys coming, sharing the
Yeah.
information, and really appreciate the work. I can just imagine the time and effort here that you've already put into it. So
Just cross your fingers for good weather on the events.
yeah, that's true. So
And make sure you come, you guys. You gotta
Yes,
come.
yes. Stop by and
I
check
may
it
be-
out.
I may be traveling some of the time there. I would like to see my granddaughter, but I'm planning on being there
Okay.
as
And
much
we'll
as
keep
possible.
you updated. I'll send Pam updates that she can share.
And if it does rain and become inclement weather, I think you put something on the flyer, didn't you? Or didn't you? No.
No, nope.
No.
Because it's a sidewalk sale and if it's right outside of certain businesses, businesses can still be open because it's supposed to be in the plaza. So
Right.
if it is raining, you're under a tent. For the mall one, it's right in the atrium area, or where do they call that? Right in
The
front of
courtyard.
the courtyard
courtyard.
right out front. So we're hoping that, some of the businesses from the village will be able to share with the businesses at the mall and vice versa. We're trying to break down some of these barriers between the, village, the town, so the businesses, so everyone kind of can work together.
Sounds great.
Okay.
I guess we're
All
all,
right.
thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right,
Amy.
Bye-bye.
JT,
yes, sir.
you're up.
Just a few things. Doing large trash. Quite a bit of it out today. Almost 7 loads of trash that we hauled out to the landfill. DOT, we're having issues with complaints about the manholes since they paved Main Street. So we're going to be working on them hopefully tomorrow and Thursday or Wednesday. We found another leaking hydrant this afternoon up on Church Street and Hillcrest that we're going to have to replace here probably next week. And I did look into that accident to Michelle. My guys did not see anything. So.
Okay. Anything else, JT?
That's all I got.
Okay. I had a question for you. Can't think of it right now. We'll come back to it if I think of it. Trustee reports. Any? Bob, got anything?
Just real quick, the library building and grounds committee still looking at sites in the village. Probably 10 East Main Street is no longer one of the candidates, at least it's way back down the list. So they just want us to know that they are still looking in the village.
All right. Carol, anything?
No, Urban is meeting next month on the 14th.
October 14th.
That's something else.
Michelle, anything?
No, tree board was canceled last week. So nothing to report there. And then I'm going to be attending the Jewel webinar this Thursday. So
Is that at 1 o'clock? Is that
1
when-
o'clock. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm gonna try. I really appreciate you doing that.
Yep, it was easy. I blocked out my day, so.
And Mike, anything?
No, I had a meeting with Tim Niver one-on-one, and other than that, nothing for this week.
Did you attend the zoning meeting the other night?
No, I did not.
I'm wondering how that turned out with ESL's applications.
I know,
Pam says they got all their variances.
they got all approved.
Okay. All right. So I want to know, are the rest of you getting comments, complaints about the roundabout from residents, friends, whoever? I assume you probably are. And
Sure, everybody complains about the roundabout.
Well, yeah,
right, right.
I think they know it's not us, so.
I got a couple of people that are really adamantly complaining and want, specific answers about things, but me personally, what can you do?
Nothing we can do about it.
Yeah,
This day.
it is what it is, and we can't move the project along, I don't believe, any quicker. I say we, I'm thinking about, Jack and the town as well as us in the village. I did see Jack was on Channel 10. They interviewed him. I don't know if any of you saw that. And I thought he did a good job. He basically said, there was an error in engineering and there's not much we can do. And, he made it clear it wasn't a town project and things like that. So, I don't know. There's some people that think, Jack and I should be all over the state of New York for the specific answers. Who did it? How much is it going to cost? And so forth. And who's going to pay for it? Well, in my mind, we're all going to pay for it. We all pay taxes in the state of New York. So what are you going to do? People make mistakes. That's really about all I had to talk about tonight. I'm going to try to do the NYSERDA webinar on the CCA, and I don't think I have anything else. Reed.
Yeah, the only thing that I have is just to kind of update the board, and I guess get a opinion from the board too. The Presbyterian Church wanted to change their internet provider to Spectrum and asked the village for permission to put the cable line in under the parking lot. I'm not exactly sure why they needed to go that direction. They've never really explained that, but that's okay. We asked them to send us an agreement, and they finally sent us an agreement that really was, in my opinion, unacceptable. And I told them that it was unacceptable, and I told them the things that we wanted to change, that I would expect to change in it. For example, they agreed that the village would reserve rights to use the surface of the property that we were giving the right to dig under, but it doesn't say we have the right to put anything else underground there. They said that they would give 72 hours notice of any work they needed to do in the future there, unless it was an emergency, which I said was absolutely fine as long as we define an emergency fairly limited way. And they said no, they wanted to define an emergency as any equipment outage or any subscriber loss of service, which to me is ridiculous. They could give us 72 hours notice for those things. They put in provisions that said we would be obligated to maintain the surface. They wanted us to, they wanted to limit their liability for any exposure they may have for what they've done on the property. They wanted us to indemnify them for reasons that they could not explain to me. it was garbage in my opinion. And I sent it back with changes. And after looking at it for 3 weeks, they sent me back the document with my changes completely undone. With one exception, they agreed to call Gary, who was going to sign the agreement, the mayor, instead of calling him the property manager. Everything else that I wanted changed, they refused to change and refused to give any explanation for it.
Very good.
And I told them, I'd be happy to talk to somebody about this, but I don't know. I guess they're just used to people just doing whatever they ask them to do or tell them to do. And I said that I couldn't make a decision, that I could take it to the board, but my strong recommendation, and I emphasize the word strong, would be that the board refuse to go along with this agreement. And they said, well, would you take it to your board? And I said, sure. So I strongly recommend that you, tell them to go pound salt. I did talk to the representatives of the church. And it is, by the way, if anybody doesn't know, that's my church. I really have some sympathy for them. And they need internet service in order to broadcast their services. They really have been kind of handicapped because they've been using Frontier. And since they told Frontier they were switching the services, taking a nosedive. So I basically I talked to them and they said, well, is there anything else we can do? And I said, well, yeah, maybe you can get through to somebody from Spectrum to be reasonable. The village would like to accommodate you. We'd be happy, I'm sure, to do something reasonable. Plan B would be to go a different route. I don't know why they have to go across the back of the property. It seems to me there's probably another way to get it along the front of the property line, along the street. And Plan C is to use a service provider other than Spectrum. So I think they're looking at other options. They haven't told me exactly what they're doing, but I did tell Spectrum that I would take it to the board. And I'm taking it to the board with my strong recommendation that you tell them to go pound salt.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I'll call him if you want me to.
No, I'm happy to send the response.
Does that go in the minutes?
The pound salt part?
Yeah. Must be a legal term.
Yeah.
Be more reasonable, I think.
Yeah. I don't think that you're asking anything unreasonable.
I don't think I am. I don't think with one exception is initially I said to them, and they've never really pushed back on this one, that I would prefer to do a license agreement instead of an easement, and they want an easement. I think I would recommend that the board do an easement if it were on reasonable terms, but we never really got to that point.
What's the difference with a license agreement?
An easement is actually an interest in real property, which means it runs with the land forever. A license agreement usually is a term of years. It's a contractual right as opposed to a right that runs with the property. If you own a piece of property and there's a license agreement over it, and you're foreclosed upon, for example, that might cut off a license, or it wouldn't cut off an easement. I don't know that they really need an easement if we gave them a license agreement, but they haven't really talked about that.
Yeah. It's just not as permanent a thing as an easement.
Usually not. Although you can have temporary easements too. So
Yeah.
I mean, the technical legal definition, and it probably doesn't mean much to anybody who didn't take real property in law school, is that it's not an interest in land; it's a contractual right.
Well, thanks for the work on it, Reed. Sooner or later, I think the church will probably, step up and make a decision on something to move it along.
Yeah, I suspect they already are, but I just haven't talked to them about it since then. This has been a couple of weeks since.
Yeah.
Well, I told Spectrum what my issues were. I wrote down the dates there. Give me one moment. I gave them my changes on August 21st. And 3 days later, they responded to me that they couldn't deal with my changes because I had marked up their PDF document, and instead they wanted me to redline a Word document, which I think is a little obnoxious when you're asking somebody else for the changes. But I did it that day, and I sent them a redline document, and that was August 24th. And on September 11th, they finally responded with none of your changes are acceptable. Actually, that's not what they said. They said we've made all the changes we could, and what we couldn't, we gave alternate language for. But every single time their alternate language was what they had presented in the first place, and I had told them was unacceptable.
Wow.
Can they get
Well,
green
there's
light?
nothing to it.
What's that, Michelle?
Can they get green light? Isn't the Presbyterian Church in the green light district?
So that's something I asked Pam back when this first came up. I said, are they sure they want to do that and go with Spectrum? But, and I don't know about green light, whether they're in that area or not. It's a
I
great
know there's
question.
the Empire Access too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anything else, Reed?
Well, I have nothing further.
Anybody else?
I do. Am
Pam?
am I still echoing?
No, you're good right
No,
now.
you're good.
Okay, so I know it's gonna sound early, but we're getting,
Now you're echoing.
Now you're rocking.
now I am,
Now
we're
you're
putting
back.
our, I don't know why, we're putting our 2021 calendar together. So this year, we changed our September, the first meeting in September to the day after Labor Day, instead of having the 2 meetings in a row. Would you like to make that change going forward?
I kind of liked it, not having 2 in a row, but. let's have it on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I mean, to me, it's a more productive situation, I would
Yep.
say.
The only other thing we got to change is it's in our organizational meeting. So we'll change, we'll strike that paragraph out of the organizational meeting come April, okay?
Okay.
And everybody saw the building permit from Marty,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, and speaking of Marty and that situation, time is flying by. It's now almost the end of September, and we do have to start thinking about what we're going to do for future code enforcement, because this agreement we have is good through the end of the year. I think we could probably extend it, but that was the original agreement. And I know Bob had a question on the abstract, you know, the money that we paid to Marty, is that what we agreed to? And it is the amount of money we agreed to in terms of the hourly rate and so forth. And it's expensive, but I will say from my standpoint, I would let Pam, you know, speak her piece because she's more directly involved, but he seems to be doing a very good job. He seems to be thorough, and he's good with the residents and the businesses in terms of quoting, you know, the proper code sections and things like that. It seems to be going pretty well. I don't know, Pam, I think you probably feel the same way, don't you?
I do. We've gotten a lot of compliments on his demeanor opposed to the previous code enforcement officer. But we're not going to make it with the money. So we've got to think about, are we going to find somebody and keep somebody for ourselves? Or I don't know how long the town's going to let us use them. So I am concerned about that part of it, but he is doing a great job.
So perhaps,
I don't know.
so perhaps we need to contact the county and see if there's a list available and go from there.
It wouldn't hurt.
You know, I don't know if there is. I mean, there wasn't really much of a list before, but it won't hurt to do that. And if anybody has any brainstorms or ideas along the way, you know, we can, it is a personnel issue and we can talk about it in executive session. So that's all I've got for tonight, unless somebody else has anything further.
The only thing I want to bring up is what does next meeting look like for us?
Next meeting as far as whether we're meeting in person or not?
Correct.
Well, board members, what do you want to do? I know Reed's comfortable staying with Zoom. I guess I'm okay either way. The issue with going in person would only really be a problem probably if we had a topic or an issue that draws people into the village hall. Then we'd have to limit, I don't know if it's at 50% capacity still for these kinds of things, but I think the current ability to use the Zoom format or a virtual format, according to the governor's executive order, is good through October 4th. And that was specifically, I think, for, public hearings and everything. So it's good through the 4th of October if we want to keep doing Zoom, but I don't know, anybody else on the board? Mike, I know you want to probably go in person. What was that?
You're
He's
muted,
muted.
Mike.
Mike's muted.
Oh,
I think we should go in person, yeah.
Should too.
Carol, you're nodding your head.
I think it's time to.
Michelle,
There's some big spike.
I can do either.
Bob,
It's probably time to go in person. Maybe one more meeting and then switch, but I mean, we're gonna have to switch at some point, and I think it's about time.
okay. If we're going to switch, I would say let's do it with the first meeting in October, which is our next meeting. If that sounds agreeable. That way we can, we can get the word out and start the month off that way. It won't be confusing for people in the middle of a month. I
How
know
has,
you're- Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, how has the opening of Village Hall been? Just out of curiosity.
You're
Fine.
muted.
Muted, Pam.
I read your lips. She said it's been fine.
It's been fine. Water bills are coming out, so that'll be the true test, because our note on the door now says we're open, but we encourage you to use the mailbox. We haven't seen one thing in the mailbox since that sign's been up. So we'll see what happens after the 1st of October.
Right.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? If not, motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Bob,
Second.
second by Carol, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, everybody, have a good evening.
Bye.
Okay, all be well.
Thanks, everyone.
JT, you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Just checking. I know you had a long, hard day today.
Just tired.
Yeah, I bet you are. All right, have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Night.